The Detroit Red Wings made some big moves this offseason, and residents of Hockeytown are hoping that they will lead to a return to the playoffs and potentially the start of more runs towards the Stanley Cup in the future. It's a bright future in Detroit and fans are excited, but I am not one of them. Red Wings, here's why I hate your stupid fucking team.
I never heard of half of these guys. The ones I do know are way past their prime.
Most of these guys never had a prime.
This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
It's year 5 of the Yzer plan, and the Red Wings are still as close to the playoffs as they were when old man Ken Holland flew the coop. However, now they have actual good young players. Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, and Moritz Seider are all good homegrown talent, and they've done a decent job augmenting that core with players like David Perron, Andrew Kopp, and Robbie Fabry. But now the time has come to add to this roster. Overall, this team really screamed chemistry on offense. There wasn't a reliable goal scorer, but there are a few guys who could pot 30 a year. They just need to be more than the sum of their parts until they made that big addition we'll talk about in a bit. On defense, it's a lot more hit and miss.
Not even close,
a lot of the
baby.
defense has been overhauled, and there are questions for just about everyone on the back end besides Seider. And even he is nowhere near the star defenseman of a Mohr or Adam Fox. But honestly, you could certainly do worse, and a lot of the additions look really good. So long as you have some solid netminders, or at least young goalies with potential, you might be able to— oh god! Ville Husso and James Reimer? What the actual fuck are you thinking? Two goalies well into their careers who have posted save percentages below 90 last year are your best options? It's not even like you have good depth in the minors. Sebastian Cossa and John Leatherman were awful last year in the minors. I mean, I guess you could trot out Alex Lyon, but unless he somehow channels peak Dominik Hasek, this team's gonna give up 6 goals a game regardless of who's on defense.
Anybody got an idea?
Last year, the Red Wings brass finally discovered that Jeff Blashill was an awful head coach. It only took everybody else in hockey about 3 months. But they did realize their mistake and moved on, making the promise not to hire an inexperienced first-time head coach. So they went out there and hired a first-time inexperienced head coach in Derek Lalonde. Pictured here demanding that his henchmen kill the Batman, it's hard to gauge whether Lalonde is in fact a good or a bad coach because A, he's been there only 1 year, and B, his goaltending is basically non-existent. In short, I could make the case for keeping Lalonde another year and seeing what he can do with actual good goaltending, or dumping him if the team fails to perform. After all, like I said, it's 5 years into the Yzer plan, and you need to start seeing results.
Who the hell are you?
I'm the new guy.
After carefully attempting to build a core through the draft like he did in Tampa, Stevie decided to just say, fuck it, and wet ham this offseason. He dumped Phil Zadina like he was Leo DiCaprio's girlfriend on her 26th birthday, and replaced him with JT Compher to bolster the middle six, though maybe a bit more costly than his production warrants, and then Daniel Sprong for the bottom six, which is fantastic value. On the back end, he's added Jeff Petrie and Shane Gostisbehere, neither game changers, but both very capable everyday D-men. Then, obviously, the biggest move, adding Alex DeBrincat for incredible value and signing him to a big extension. This will probably end up being Steve's Sergachev trade in Detroit, and I cannot believe Ottawa let DeBrincat go within the division for so cheap. With DeBrincat, the Red Wings finally have an A1 scoring threat to drive the offense that makes them better than just the sum of their parts. Him on the top line with Larkin and Perron, as is currently projected, would be a very solid, though not spectacular first line, and could easily be enough to help elevate this Red Wings team to heights that it hasn't been since Steve got there.
You gay Irish fireman, you're okay, but you I do not like.
In case you couldn't tell, that young core of Larkin, Seider, Raymond, and DeBrincat is honestly pretty solid. They don't have a McDavid or a Bedard, but those are 4 pretty well-rounded young players and a good group to build around. Detroit's also got a pretty good farm system being built with Nate Danielson, Simon Edvidson, Marco Kasper, and Axel Sandin Pelinka. Honestly, I'd be way more bullish about Detroit's future if it wasn't for the questions in goal and behind the bench. Probably going to come up just short of making the playoffs unless you manage to add an actual goaltender. I mean, if this team actually gets a human being between the nets, watch out, they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of depth too. It's also going to depend on whether Lalonde is actually a good coach or not, but I have a feeling that he might be at least decent. Add a guy like Gibson or Hellebuck at the deadline maybe, and this Red Wings team could be a sleeper.
Kubalik is in front. He scores!